Beats review. Now, I know that all of you are very happy to see a Beats review and that no one at all will have anything negative to say because we live in a perfect world where no one is somehow offended because someone likes something they don't like. Obviously not. But if you are watching this, then I hope you can put aside your headphone holy war for just a moment because, like it or not, Beats is a bit of a big deal. So this is the Beats Solo 3. It is a wireless version of the Beats Solo 2. And in this video, I could go into all kinds of detail, and I will. But pretty much, that's all I'm going to say about this headphone. It's a Solo 2 without the wire. The wireless functionality works really well, but Apple didn't really take the opportunity to change much of anything else. So now that I've owned the Solo 3 for a month, do I think it's worth the $299 US asking price? Well, you're watching Lachlan Likes a Thing, and let's find out. I bought this Solo 3 with support from my viewers on Patreon, and you can blame them. If you would like to share in the blame and also get exclusive access to live streams and a Discord server, head on over to patreon.com/LachlanLikesAThing. Now, I'm gonna do this review the opposite of how I usually do my reviews, because usually I start by talking about design and comfort and then move on to sound. Well, today I'm gonna start with sound because honestly, there's very little for me to say about the sound of the Solo 3 that I haven't already said about the Solo 2. So let's just get that out of the way first. The Solo 2 is my favorite portable headphone when I feel like I want a bit more bass because it's got a nice, deep, punchy sound in the bass combined with some mid-energy that keeps vocals lively and fun, and then at the high frequencies, it's rolled off. So it doesn't have the same kind of top-end sparkle or detail that I like in some of my more balanced headphones like the Beyerdynamic T51P or the Sennheiser h.ear. And compared to those headphones, the Solo 2 sounds sort of compressed and closed in. And if I were to evaluate things on purely what I think sounds better, then I reckon the T51P and the h.ear sound better for the money. But if you want more bass, or you find other headphones harsh in the high frequencies for the kind of music that you listen to, then I think the Solo 2 is a truly fun sounding headphone. And I like wearing it around and about, particularly in noisy environments where I have to listen at higher volumes because it never gets harsh. And pretty much the Solo 3 sounds like the Solo 2. The only difference I can hear between the Solo 3 and the Solo 2 is that maybe the Solo 3 sounds a tiny little bit less bassy. It's such a small difference that honestly, I can't be sure that I'm not just making it up in my head. And also, it sounds basically the same whether you use it wireless or wired with the included cable. And the electronics on the Solo 3 seem to turn off when you use it with a cable. So I'm not even sure Apple is using any kind of DSP to make the Solo 3 sound so much like the Solo 2. To me, this is fundamentally a Solo 2 with an additional new wireless chip. And I think that's both a blessing and a curse, because if you like the sound of the Solo 2, you like the Solo 3. And if you are hoping to see Apple start to change the house sound of Beats headphones, then move along. And that's basically going to be the same story when it comes to the design, because the Solo 3 is essentially the Solo 2 design without the wire. Look, I've got a Solo 3 now. I think the Solo 2 is already one of the most well-designed on-ear headphones there is. It isolates a lot of external noise. On my head, it has a very nice, even weight distribution across the headband. The ear pads are nice and plush. The clamping pressure is higher than average, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend this headphone if you have thick glasses because the pressure will squash the tips of your ears against the frames. But the flip side is that it fits very securely on the head, which is not something I can say about every on-ear headphone. For instance, the V-Motor XS. So here's one big difference with the Solo 3 over the Solo 2. You get music controls on the actual ear cup, on the left ear cup. On the center, that's play and pause, and then in the outer ring, volume up and down. So all in all, I think the Solo 3 has a great design, and you can get the matte colors if gloss plastic isn't your thing. Now, after a month of use, I haven't noticed any discoloration on the white ear pads or the headband from the kind of vial fluids that ooze from my skin. But my assumption is that the white colors will go yellow over time. And that leads to my biggest criticism of this design. The ear pads are not, to my knowledge, replaceable. Now, I've never had to replace any ear pads on a Beats product myself. So if you have had experience with this, then please leave a comment, because I'm sort of curious how it works in different countries. Basically, what I've heard from other users is that if the ear pads wear out, you go to the Apple store or you contact Beats and they'll replace the headphone for you. Now, obviously, it's not the most efficient approach, but at least you have that option. And again, let me know how it went for you if you've done it. So the Solo 3 takes the same design as the Solo 2 and cuts the cord. Now, technically speaking, it doesn't really cut the cord because you still have the option of using the included wireless cable, and it apparently still works with the cable if the battery runs out. And I say apparently because in weeks of testing, I've never had the battery run out on the Solo 3. And here we get to the real meat of the review, which is the wireless functionality of the Solo 3, which Apple claims to have improved with their proprietary W1 chip. So here's the deal from what I've read. Apple's W1 chip uses Class 1 wireless Bluetooth, which is a higher power transmission protocol than the Class 2 Bluetooth that most other wireless headphones use, including the previous Solo 2 wireless. At the same time, the W1 chip is also more power efficient, so it can use this fancy Class 1 Bluetooth and still offer 40 hours of battery life, which is twice what my Bose QC35 and my Sony MDR100 ABN can offer in terms of wireless battery life. But all of this is just numbers. So let me describe to you how it's worked for me in the real world. I live in a relatively large 2-story house, and I'm in charge of vacuuming the house. I like to wear headphones when I vacuum. With the Solo 3, I can leave my phone in the bedroom upstairs, and I can vacuum any other room of the house, even in the opposite corner downstairs. And I will experience no dropouts, no stuttering, no hiccups. And I had to actually walk out of the house onto the street before the Solo 3 will drop out. I can't do that with my other wireless headphones. Also, with the 40-hour battery life of the Solo 3, I have never actually received a low battery warning from the headset. And I don't even know if the Solo 3 gives audible low battery warnings. I mean, it has lights on the ear cup to let you know how much charge is left, and it also tells you on your connected device. But it's never had to actually nag me to charge it. As a reviewer, I know the right thing to do would be to run this out on the battery and then actually tell you whether it got that 40-hour figure. Sorry, I didn't do that. I just used this how I use everything else. I charged it when I remembered to, and I didn't charge it when I didn't, and it's worked out just fine. And it's worked out in the same way that I am really happy with a 40-hour battery life on my little Sony NWZ-A15 Walkman. 40 hours is enough for you to take a 10-day trip to Hong Kong and never charge this thing once, which is exactly what I did. The battery life is so good that most of the times I don't even bother turning off the Solo 3 when I take it off my head. Most of the times I just hit the pause button, put the headphone down, and then later when I pick it up again and press play, it will just start playing and I don't have to worry about battery drain because the battery life is so long. Sometimes if you leave it off for a few hours, then it will turn off. But when you turn it back on again, it will basically be ready to play and instantly pair back, which is not, again, something that I can say about every wireless Bluetooth device. Also, if you use an iOS 10 device, then the Solo 3 has a few more tricks up its sleeve. Namely, the pairing procedure is a little faster, sort of like NFC, because iOS 10 will automatically pop up a little window for you to connect, and then it will propagate this connection across all the devices that you own that are signed into the same Apple ID. So it's sort of icing on the cake, but if you don't use Apple devices, don't worry, you're not missing out on too much. But here's the thing. I wasn't exactly crying about the wireless functionality of the QC35 or the Sony 100 ABN, because both of these headphones have wireless that works relatively well. And it's not like I'm suddenly compelled to throw these in the trash, because the Solo 3 wireless functionality is just that a little bit more stable or painless. So with the Solo 3, you're kind of paying an extra premium over a wired Solo 2 for hiccup-free wireless. And it sort of depends on how expensive those hiccups are, because this is where my biggest reservations lie. For all this money, wireless functionality is all you're paying for. For $299 US, you're getting a well-designed portable on-ear headphone with great wireless, but I've seen the Sony MDR 100 ABN on sale for the same price as the Solo 3. And if you paid a bit more, you could get a Bose QC35. And with both of these headphones for your money, you'd be getting headphones with active noise cancellation as well as wireless. And you'd be getting headphones that I think sound less congested and more detailed. So that's basically my conclusion at the end of the day. If you really like the design and the sound of the Solo 2, then the Solo 3 is damn near perfect for you, because it's a wireless Solo 2 and Apple did the wireless really well. But at the US $299 price point, you have all kinds of headphones that I think sound either less congested and more natural than the Solo 3. And I think that if you're spending this kind of money specifically on a wireless portable headphone, I really think you should be thinking about getting one with active noise cancellation, because you may as well go the full package. So this is the Beats Solo 3. It's a wireless version of the Beats Solo 2. Any questions?